Hey guys, post-editing Destro here again. I just wanted to start off this episode by saying thank you to everyone who tuned in and stuck around to the actual live premiere of this podcast. We definitely enjoyed interacting with the audience, and you guys really inspired us to keep the live aspect of this show as something we do in the future. Just a heads up, my local audio recording had some issues, so for this video I'll be editing the VOD. This leads to some jumpy parts in the gameplay, but the actual recording is fully intact, and we kind of intend on most people leaving this on in the background and listening to us versus actually watching it. We are looking for feedback, so let us know what you think of this live form version. Because it's live, we leaned more into unstructured topics towards the back half, so definitely let us know what you think of this shift in moving from structured topics to unstructured topics and kind of the interaction with the audience. I also tried to contextualize what people were saying when they had questions for us too. So I'll get out of the way. Thank you again for watching and enjoy the episode. Hello everybody, welcome to the Calling Card Patch Report. It's a new name of our podcast. This is Destro and I'm here with Watts and Slick Rick. This is episode 3 and today we're going to be talking about patch 3.0. While people start to come in, we're going to lead with more of a general question about the patch. And if you guys haven't watched the previous episode, we organized this by me asking a question and then letting Watts or Rick take the lead. And then I answer the question last. So we're going to lead with the first question, the very general one, like I said. Rick, what are your general thoughts on 3.0? I know it's only been a couple days, but just kind of as an overview, what are your initial impressions?
Yeah, so far I'm enjoying it. Obviously, since we're making content, it's a little bit less free time to play it. I haven't done any of the story content yet, which is one of the things I was most looking forward to. But as far as Astrolab goes, I'm really excited to get more of it. I've had a lot of fun with just the five challenges we're allowed to do in this first week. But otherwise, yeah, enjoying Wind. She's actually not Wind. I keep calling her Wind. Mont. She's a little bit stronger than I kind of anticipated her to be. I still think she has some of the same issues she had, but I think she's kind of a little bit in the same way Mesa was, a little bit more of a stat stick, just like a glass cannon maybe than she used to be. And the Mindscape is fun too. I haven't dug as much into the Mindscape as I wanted to yet either, but I'm excited. There's a lot on the plate here, and I think over time, as they kind of expand on it, we're going to appreciate it more than we do right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're going to get into Mindscape and our thoughts on that a little later on, but yeah, I agree. Mont definitely hits a little harder than we thought she would, I feel like, but it's one of those things where it's we felt the same way about Mesa, so we kind of have to get out of that honeymoon period and see how things end up. But not to stray too far from the question, Watts, what are your thoughts on 3.0 so far? I know we're just in the first couple days here, but
I like the content. I like it pretty much. I thought there would be a little bit I thought it would be a little bit of a content lull, because you look at it and it's you get Astrolab, you get the story, and that's it. There's no other I guess there's the Mont event, the boss event a little bit, but I thought there'd be a little bit too little content. But Astrolab's actually super interesting, something that I like a lot. The palace actually feels pretty good, and it's a pretty good length too. It felt a little weird that it was kind of story loaded on the front floor, so I was on the first floor thinking, oh, this is gonna be super long, and then I get to the first floor, then the second floor, and it's all right, the palace is up. I spent 15 minutes on the second floor doing story, but that first floor is gigantic. And I'm still not through all of it. Yeah, but I like it. Mont is actually super surprised me how much damage she's doing. I don't know why I'm surprised, but yeah, she's sick. She kind of just comes down to how often they run her boss.
Yeah. But yeah, they really seem to kind of roll over on her ice side, and we're just okay, let's try to salvage this character and buff the highlight. And the highlight, when I was making the guide for her, I feel like the highlight wasn't as highly valued, and giving her that big chunk towards it has seemed to help a little bit. But once again, like we said, it's one of those things where we're going to have to see how she performs down the road, especially with Kasumi coming up, but
And her follow-up damage does so much.
yeah.
I've been hitting for some absolutely absurd numbers.
Yeah, her single target numbers are really good. Like even at A0, it's pretty interesting to see.
Yeah, like
but,
for fun, I ran her on like the Otavatka boss, and I got, comparing her to a A6 Makoto, I got like 40 million less with her, which is absurd for an A0 question or not question, character.
Yeah, especially when Makoto was Queen was kind of the benchmark like OP character, not too long ago. But yeah, as far as my thoughts on 3.0, I like it. Does it feel a little content sparse on the surface? When we watched the stream, I felt like, oh man, I'm kind of surprised there's no new social links. It's just the unlock of the rest of Monts and new story stuff. But as far as being in the deeper into the like competitive and like meta side of this game, there's a lot to do if you enjoy keeping up in Nightmare Gateway and SOS, because we have all these card sets we have to build now. You have to swap over chord to creation reconciliation, and that's a whole process. And then Mont has this brand new kit you have to build. And I've been so busy making videos and stuff, I just finished the story stuff today, and I don't really have anything controversial to say on that. I like the story a lot. I think that this palace, is a little better designed than the last one. I do really enjoy the story to Palace 3, if you consider this Palace 4. I know it's not technically Palace 4, but yeah, I really enjoyed the story. And then I feel like this palace had a little bit better design. The biggest thing, other than the story, the Mindscape, just kind of first, what do you guys think of the mode? And then also just thoughts on how it can be improved, or maybe first thoughts on it, because not everybody's super clear on how it works yet. And we'll start with Watts this time, since we led with Rick last time.
Yeah, Mindscape, it's pretty interesting. Funny you mentioned that. I'm actually doing it right now. I've been saving it for as like a background for this stream, but I think it's interesting. So I like the concept of the limited uses of the characters, like having limited attempts, make it a little bit harder. It does feel a little lame that it's like, all right, you can only do 5 fights a week. I wish they would have. Me personally, I wish they would have just given it to us all up front, but I know that's not what they want. They want us to keep playing the game. But yeah, I really like the idea. The fact that you get 5 fights a week, or like 5 fights for this first week, 4 every other week. 1 use of each character a week, so it like makes you think in those early levels. Yeah, Astrolab's sick.
Yeah, I like the. I know I'm supposed to usually go last, but just a quick thought here. I like the reward of horizontal builds in this game versus just straight vertical A6 characters type build. But Rick, just once again your thoughts on Astrolab.
Yeah, so not to expose us P5X content creators exposed, but before the stream started, we were talking about Astrolab a little bit. And yeah, my thoughts are it's really fun. And just playing the first 5 kind of, what are they called, Stella, that they've allowed us to play with the willpower, I am wishing that this was like 10 times as big, or there was multiple maps to start with, or maybe there was like 1 rotating map and there was a couple of maps that were just, you could clear them on your own time. I want to play more of it, and there's just not a lot of it in the game right now. That's the only negative, because I'm actually enjoying it quite a bit. I'm enjoying having to read, all the effects and try and plot out, like, okay, I plan on using this character 3 times, so I can't use them here. So what should I use in place? And then this first one, I'm just going to wonder DPS, because I don't want to waste a unit. I'm enjoying it. It's kind of the first thought-provoking thing in the game outside of, like, swap this skill for higher number on Guild Boss. You know what I mean? That we've had in quite some time. So I'm having a lot of fun with it.
Yeah, no, definitely agreed. Of everything I've played so far on Global and TW, I feel like these modes, and I know you couldn't really call Mindscape a proper rogue or roguelike mode, but this and Tartarus, and I promise one of these days I'll go one of these streams without mentioning Tartarus. I feel like these modes are really fun, and they lend themselves to really fun gameplay without a ton of thought from the devs. And we talked about it earlier, kind of wishing they had started us with more activity points instead of 5, but it's kind of tough because you want to appeal to the most broad community of the game, and if you give us 5 points, then that means you need 5 teams. Or sorry, not 5 points. If you gave us like 10 points, you need 10 teams or 10 setups. So it gets a little messy there. But I don't know, maybe multiple boards or something like that, because I agree with you guys. I think it's really fun. It's the most fun I've had doing PvE content in this game in a while. And I do enjoy making builds and testing stuff in Nightmare Gateway and SOS, but my first fight, Watts was watching me, and it was the first level, and I set up a little like dinky Ryuji team, and I was like, they're level 50 something, like it's not gonna be that bad, and I barely won. I won by like 1 turn. I was like, man, what the heck? I thought all this game's content was just a steamroll. And it's really fun trying to predict things as you move forward and read the effects each fight has and try to figure out who they want you to use. So yeah, I agree. I think it's very good. I don't think it needs much tuning. I think it's a mode that could scale very well with this game, and I would like to see in the future, I think, for suggestion on improvement, as the average account has more characters, I would like to see a bigger board, maybe more attempts each week. But yeah, I think it's a great mode. So next, this patch, we also, obviously with Mindscape, we unlocked the inner ring of the mind. And that, if you guys aren't familiar, there's the outside ring that we've had for some time now, where you can level very basic stats. And then there's the inner ring, where you can level major things. You can level skills, effects beyond what's normal. Like you can level Catchy Hook and make Catchy Hook do more damage for a highlight. So things like that. And these materials are very scarce. So, Rick, I'm going to let you start. If you've spent Mindscape material, who have you buffed so far?
So I'm one of those people who, with all materials in every game, I'm terrified to spend them on anything because I feel like I'm gonna need them later, and then I just never end up spending them because I persist with that attitude throughout the entire game. So I've kind of tried to use them sparingly, but I've spent them on characters who I feel like are going to have like long-term value to me, and so someone like Futaba, I believe, will be in use for a long time, even after we get on. Like Futaba is still going to be your either 1A or 1B navigator, for quite some time. Someone like the twins, who I think are pretty good right now on global, especially if you put awarenesses into them and invested into them. I think that's maybe something worthwhile. Characters like that, who I think are just going to have like wide-ranging use and more long-term use, are more useful than pumping those materials into like the DPS of the week, I think, is kind of how I'm looking at it.
Yeah, agreed. There's definitely like a deteriorating gain when it comes to, okay, this is the DPS of the patch. I'm gonna focus on Mindscape here versus like, Accord, a Futaba, one of the mainstays. But Watts, on your account, who have you used your Mindscape materials on so far?
So what I did was, as soon as I went and collected all my Mindscape materials, is I poured them all into my twins, because I A6'd them. I don't know why I A6'd them, but you know what, we're here now, so we're rolling with it. And I mean, of course, if I A6 a character, I feel like that's a good sign that I should, put more resources into them. Other than that, I took boards. I leveled the one that was her Catchy Hook and Unison notes. I leveled that one all the way to the max. And then I've started leveling both of Futaba's skills. And then on a couple of my DPS, I added some like crit rate, added some attack, just things that like would help me push them to like the 100p level, so that I could unlock the the last thing in the fiefdom for them. But overall, I feel like most characters, unless it's like a character that you really think is going to be like super long term, one that you can really use, I don't think there's many characters that you want to upgrade all of the abilities of. Because like on the like supports, I like upgrading the abilities. And on the DPS, I've been leaning more towards giving like the ones that give raw stats. But you know, the abilities on the DPS are also really good. It's just that the DPS are a lot more situational than the supports, so I want to like invest less into them. It feels or so like that.
Yeah. There are a lot of them that kind of feel like a trap. Like there are some skills, some inner Mindscape stuff where it's like, oh man, why would you level that? But I mean, some of it just seems like it's there for build. What's the word I'm looking for? Build room. Like Chord. You know, you start buffing Catchy Hook. You start buffing these abilities. Okay, the attack ceiling goes up. Maybe you need to give her the stat up, attack up. But even then, it's like just edit your build. You know, it's not worth that much Mindscape material when it's super limited. But yeah, no, I A6 the twins. Yeah, what Melissa said right there. Chord's defense down.
Yeah.
Yeah, she does.
Where she takes less damage.
Yeah, and I will say, in SOS, those birds were beating the hell out of her, so maybe that's why she has it, but what a waste. Definitely don't buy that, at least not at a high level. But no, I have the A6 twins as well. It was a bit of a avalanche in our guild with the A6 twins. We have like, I think 3 or 4 of them now, just because what they did to people's scores. It just, I mean, as everybody knows, you know, you can see how this patch has gone so far with Mont versus how many A6 R6 twins you're seeing. Like they did way better as characters than Mont. So yeah, I have leveled a lot of their stuff in Mindscape. I've gone ahead and worked on chords quite a bit. Obviously getting Catchy Hook to its max damage increase, 90% damage increase. And then I've done Futaba a little bit, and I gave Mont a little bit of a boost, but I think I'm just gonna chill out on it for now. So kind of an off-topic question, but I'm just curious because people go back and forth in our server. People go back and forth about it. So Watts, we'll start with you. Are you saving standard pools, and why?
So for the longest time, I was I'm just going to use my standard pulls, like, proponent. I feel like the odds of getting a new character is, like, so low, and, like, I already had, like, I was already, like, getting a lot of dupes of these other characters. Like, I had, like, A5 Ryuji, A5 Ren, A4 On. I was like, I just want to finish those out before, like, I start adding other characters to the pool. And even, like, Marion, like, her first dupe's the only one that really matters, and I already had that from using my Cognites. So for the longest time, I was a do not pull, or like, go ahead, just rip them, it doesn't matter person. But recently, I've decided that I'm just gonna, like, I think it's getting close enough to Phoebe coming out to standard that I'm gonna try and save until Phoebe comes out. Maybe try and get 80 up, do 1 pity, and if I get it, cool. Oh well, if I didn't. But I think there's an argument for both. After Phoebe, I'm not saving anymore because, like, it's so long until we get not Leo, but Cherish, and then even then he's not that good. It's just like I kind of just want to get the characters I have maxed out now, you know?
Yeah, Cherish isn't real, so. But Rick, what are your thoughts? What are your thoughts on this standard ticket saving?
Yeah, so I don't do it simply because I have no control of myself, but I go back and forth on it because, like, on one hand, it's kind of like you could always make the argument that, like, there's going to be another character, so I should save them. You know what I mean? So, but at the same time, if you're pulling on the standard, the regular banners enough, you're going to end up with those characters at some point anyway, I guess, if you're on the 50-50. So, I don't know. You get like the gem rebate from pulling too, so yeah, I don't know. I tried to think about an answer to this when we were kind of, floating topics out, but I don't know where I really stand on it. I go back and forth. I don't do it personally, but that's not like a referendum on what I actually think is like best to do or not. I generally think probably what Watts is doing is smart. Like if there's something close, save, and then kind of rip them all off once they get added. Otherwise, I think just spend them, get the Cogna gems or whatever, and then you could use those for jewels to pull on the premium banners.
Yeah, agreed. I like Rick, I have no self-control. I also I thought about it for a while. I think it was during like 2.0 or pre 2.0. I saved like 100, and I streamed me pulling 100 in the guild, and I got just absolute slop. Like I went all the way to pity, and I got stupid Morgana. I got the cat, and didn't get anything early, and I was just like, dude, people are gonna save like 300 pulls. They're gonna use all of them. They're gonna wait for the character. They're gonna use all of them. They're not gonna hit. Some people will, some people won't. But I am on Team Rick. I like having the Violet Cogna gems. And I have a big fund of them that I'm saving to pull Makoto Yuki, A6, R6. So the way I see it, I want to go ahead and just keep building that fund up and go ahead and get all the standard characters A6. So yes, I'm still on team pull everything you have. But now that we've finished that question, I want to do our first question from chat. Shadow King says, question, for your DPS character in the inner ring of the Mindscape, the fourth inner Mindscape increases one of the main damaging stats like crit, attack, molt, and pierce. What would your preferred increase in that stat be? And we'll let Rick lead on that one.
Yeah, I kind of agree with Shadow on that. I think pierce is probably one of the better ones. I don't know what the full pool of potential ones you can get are, but I would imagine it's kind of like the standard ones that you're looking for, right? Like any kind of crit, attack, molt, and pierce are probably what you're going for. But again, it's probably character dependent too, right? Like what does certain characters scale on more than others? So
yeah,
it probably is going to depend on what the actual unit is. And I don't know what the criteria is for which ones they set for what character. I don't know if they have a rhyme or reason for it. I would imagine that stat goes with the character to some extent. So it's probably useful to have it. But case by case, I would say.
Oh yeah, that makes sense. Watts?
There's a character that gets pierce in the Mindscape. That's insane.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's your boy Mesa.
Oh, of course. That makes a lot of sense.
Yes. Yes.
Actually, but from what I've been doing, I don't have Mesa, so I haven't increased any pierce or anything. But for me, it's just like hitting build like points, where I'm trying to specifically hit. I try to get to 100 crit rate. If I don't hit 100 crit rate, then I'm gonna level it up. Then from there, I can start putting into attack. But right now, I'm prioritizing crit rate the most out of all because like that's what you hear. You want to get your crit rate boosted, and I feel like it's just like the most important stat, really.
Yeah, I like crit rate because it's one of the few stats in this game where you have a very clear ceiling. Like there were, a ton of people, it's kind of going off topic, but a ton of people built in the most recent Cycle of Fate event, which I guess this is kind of going to the last patch, but everyone was building cards for Kasumi. And people were kind of going back and forth on, do we build crit rate cards or crit molt cards? And I was more of a crit rate person, because I like having so much crit rate on a card and then being able to mess with her Inner Ring of Mindscape to where I can just have 100% crit rate, not have to touch it at all in substats, and then be able to, from there, kind of min-max a build with your other substats on your cards. So yeah, crit rate would be one for me that I think is usually helpful, and then you run into weird characters like Mesa who value Pierce way more. I actually Shadow King made me go look at Mesa's, and I like his. I like that. Obviously, you get to buff his skills, but then he just gets a straight up Pierce rate stat up, which is really cool. Yeah, that's interesting. Thank you for the question. That was a good one. Moving along, and we kind of touched on this a little bit with the last stream, but I feel like we have more insight now. What do you think, Watts? How do you think Runa will be affected by standard jail?
Okay, yeah, I mean, it's definitely going to affect her, because, like, her first two awarenesses are both really good. And, like, pulling two multiple awarenesses on a character that is supposed to be coming to standard, feels bad. So I would think that there's not going to be many people that actually do that. And the ability to, like, invest very minimally into her and then still be able to get these 50-50 losses and even power her up even more is, like, a huge thing that makes her, like, a character with a lot of staying power in the meta. But we don't really have that, so I'd be really interested to see, like, how long she actually stays super viable at her, like, A0, maybe even, like, R0, but, like, how many people are going to pull the weapon, that aren't, like, super huge spenders.
Yeah.
But,
yeah,
I think it definitely, like, lowers her longevity.
Yeah. Rick?
Yeah, as we go with these standard characters, I'm starting to fall under more of, like, when we first learned about the standard jail, I was kind of like, oh, just wait, they'll be fine, you'll get them later for free, I wouldn't spend on them right now, but I think the question is more like, do you just forego having this character be something useful for you in the game? Like, by the time she comes to standard, is she going to be completely, pushed out of any useful content by then? You know what I mean? It feels like by the time these characters get here, they're afterthoughts at this point. And so, again, it's just hard to recommend, though, a character. So that's where I'm caught in between. It's hard to recommend people pull a character that is going to be free, in theory, at one point. But then you're also basically telling them that 6 months from now, that character is going to be kind of useless, potentially. So yeah, I don't know. I'm just in such a weird place with these standard characters, but she's definitely, like, I think, one of the more useful standard characters we've had come to the standard thus far, until the one following her. That's going to be when the discussion really gets difficult, I think, but that's, for another day.
Yeah, I would say Runa's probably the best standard character we've had so far.
Yeah.
Yeah, it gets really interesting, and I hate bringing up this topic over and over, but with Cherish, it was very black and white. It was very, okay, this character comes out, he doesn't bring a whole lot at A0, R0, he doesn't bring a whole lot in terms of damage to the team he's going to. And it's already a team that doesn't score super high in Nightmare Gateway, or SOS. Maybe a little higher in SOS, but definitely not as much on Nightmare Gateway. Very, very black and white character in terms of, oh, you can kind of skip this character. Marion was a bit of a pain to not have, because you got to think of the content that was released around her at that time back then. We didn't have, our next best sustain was what, Morgana before Marion?
Yeah.
Maybe
or
I'm forgetting
Lufel,
something.
I guess, depending on how you had it built out. But
yeah. And then after that was Phoebe, and I don't know, the further we get in, I feel like after we got Rico, the pain of Phoebe being limited kind of died off a little bit. Runa is going to be really interesting because she would release definitely after Matoi, and Matoi is going to be the interesting saboteur to have over her, and Matoi comes out 4 patches after her. So that's gonna be a big question for me, is the niche that Matoi fills as a character. If I can just pull her and she has more longevity, why in the world would I be interested in heavily investing in Runa, right? Thankfully, one thing that I think is a calculated move from them is she is very heavily tied to Akihabara, and and I've done her social link on TW, and I really like it. And Akihabara is also a really cool city for this game. It fits really well in P5X, so I think a lot of people will pull her just because they like her. Another thing I want to talk about, we haven't really gone over it too much. The value of the items on the rerun banner. So the actual like shop that you refund stuff to, if that makes sense, the rebate items you get in there. I'm not sure if we really talked about that in our last episode. But that, and if you have anything you're really interested in on rerun, I know it's notoriously a super nerfed rerun compared to what CN got for their super rerun, but I do think that rebate shop is one of the few really good things that are in there. So what are your thoughts on it, Watts?
I think that the rebate shop is pretty good. I like a lot of the stuff. I think the gems are a little bit of a bait. I think that getting the gems, that offer number of 55 is really weird, in my opinion. It makes it where you have to do like an odd number of pulls to actually get all of them. Or you have to go almost all the way and to get all of the gems, or else you get left with like a weird number. I think that the best value item is the selector, the space selector, because until like this patch, those were like super hard to get a hold of, in my opinion. The other thing that I like is the joy medals. I like them a little bit less after this patch because we kind of got flooded with them a little bit, or not even just this patch, but like recently we've gotten a lot of joy medals. And then I think there was one or two other things I liked. I think I bought the retrograde card. The Vicissitude isn't horrible.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
But
I feel like the rates on the first time rates on a lot of this stuff is actually pretty good. We were actually recommending our guild, just like totally not forcing people to buy stuff, obviously, but just as a like, hey, if you guys do 40 pulls on the rerun, you get, I don't know if I can still see it. If you did 40 pulls, I believe you got a space selector, a everlasting incense, a vicissitude ink, and the joy medals, which is pretty solid value. I believe that's what it was. But sorry, I kind of cut you off there, Rick. what are your thoughts?
Yeah, no, well, kind of what you guys said. I was gonna make a video on it actually, but I was like, is this too in the weeds? Like I was gonna feel bad if I recommended people do 40 polls exactly like you guys said on this rerun, and someone like accidentally gets Joker or something they didn't want. But it kind of worked to plan for me. I went 40 pulls on it. I got what I wanted out of the shop with the Prism Cogna gems, and then I won the 50-50 for Mont. So it kind of went exactly to plan for me for this for once. So, but yeah, I agree. The Everlasting Incense is what I went for. I went for the Joy Medals, and then I got the card selector. I don't know. I was tempted to go for the ink again as well, and the and maybe the reset card, but I don't know. The reset cards are kind of bait. I feel like I always get like something worse when I use the reset card, so I just ignored it. But yeah, I enjoyed it. I think it's pretty good. Again, kind of like, I don't know if I'd recommend anyone like take the chance on it if they don't have the gems to waste. But if you do like me and you're going to spend to get with the character regardless, then I do think it is good value to get some of the materials in that shop.
Yeah, definitely agreed. I feel like the first time ones are pretty solid, but like you said, it's just such a trap because it's like Joker has to be one of the most common limited characters on people's accounts. So, at best, most people are maybe trying to pull his A1, which he's also on Cognitites, so I don't know. And then Phoebe, who's right around the corner, being on standard, makes spending gems or limited pulls on her kind of, dubious. Makoto, who is probably Queen's probably the best character on there, and Queen is sort of starting to reach this I guess you call it an apex or a kind of decline where it's like we are starting to see these other characters kind of creep up and usurp her as the next big single target DPS. And then Yusuke and Yui. And, probably a good time to pick up Yusuke if you really want to go ahead and do the ice team. But as far as the value of the stuff on there, I knew because I am exceptionally unlucky. Lately, I was like, I'm going to do 4 pulls. I'm not going to get a standard character, so it's fine. I thought the rebate on stuff was pretty good. A question from Jonathan Alexander, 1717. And it's kind of speculation, but I do feel like it's an interesting topic to bring up. If when we catch up to CN or get as close as we're going to get, do you think we'll have standard jail even if the servers are essentially tied, or do you maybe think they're just not going to have standard characters anymore? Like they're just not going to have characters that just drop and then come to the banners later. What are your thoughts on that, Rick? And it's again, it's kind of speculation, but I thought it was an interesting topic.
Yeah, I saw that question. It's one, I do think we're on our way to a catch up. I think the Twins thing kind of solidified that we will be caught up with them. If the plan was not to catch up, it is now, I think, because the game drummed up more interest, across all servers than it has since the game launched, I think. But yeah, it seems like they are moving away from the standard thing. I imagine, because we think it makes too much sense, that if they ever did release one and we were all at the same time, that we would all just get them immediately after. They'll do the opposite, and like CN would get them immediately after, and then we would still have to wait the 6 months for whatever reason. And they would just kind of ignore it and then never change it. That's kind of how I imagine it would go down. But hopefully they just drop, like, I don't know, like if you're gonna add a standard character, just add like a new pool of standard characters to the banner, like all at once. That's kind of how I would do it. And don't even do a banner for them, just drop them in there. But that doesn't make them money, so I don't know why they would do that. But yeah, that's kind of how I would go about it.
Yeah. Again, kind of just speculation. Like we're all just kind of making stuff up here. A lot of assumptions. So I don't want anyone to think it's fact. But what are your thoughts on that topic?
Yeah, it's really interesting because there's like a couple of ways to look at it. Because like there's definitely going to be a lot of outrage if we get a character later than they do when they were released at the same time. But there's also like no like indication that our standard jail is ever going to end, because they keep pretty adamant about, yep, standard jail's a thing, it's going to be a thing, you just learn to live with it. But the other thing is that they haven't had a standard character in like 15-16 characters, I think. Because like Junpei is going to be the next character. Oh, sorry, spoilers if anybody wasn't aware, but he's definitely not going to be a standard character. The character
Absolutely
after
not.
that maybe could be a standard character. But
and it seems like if they're going to do because they've done a 4-star more recently than they've done a standard character.
They have,
in the future. So I don't know. It almost I don't really play. This is my. If you guys have watched this podcast before, then I'm not really a gacha game person. This is kind of my one and only. But I don't know if standard characters are something that are usually there to get the game going and then they kind of stop or what. But I personally think that they do have a place in the game. Like I get it, but when you release a character like Turbo, I feel like Turbo kind of misses the point of a standard character because she's just so good, even at A0R0. It's like, well, what is standard about this character? she's very good. She's very limited character energy. So I wonder if that made them kind of like, hey, these guys have enough characters on the standard pool. Like, let's just cut it off. They have plenty of characters, right? So
I do like the idea of them putting strong characters on the standard banner, so like it doesn't feel as bad to like actually get one of them. Because like I know now for like even me, like I couldn't imagine on what it's like if you've been playing since day one and you're on like 4.6.1 million or whatever. and you pulled a Haruna or a Morgana, like, or even like a Phoebe, not even Phoebe kind of, or like a Marion after you've got her A1, like, it's kind of disappointing, but every time you see a Turbo, you're like, okay, I kind of won even when I was losing, you know?
Yeah,
and Runa's the same to an extent, a lesser so, but still like a win when you're losing.
Oh yeah, definitely a higher tier standard character. Yeah, very very interesting question though. Thank you.
Sorry,
yeah, no,
Mr.
go ahead.
But I think something they could also do, which I don't know if they've done in any. I know, Watts, you played Star Rail. I don't remember if they ever added some of like the original like 1.0 premium characters into the standard pool after like a certain number of major version patches. But that is something interesting. I think maybe they could look at doing at some point. They probably won't because they could sell Joker to new players forever, which they're doing right now. But like at some point, I could definitely like, if no one's paying for those characters anymore, you might as well just throw them onto the standard. You know, get people excited. Maybe a new player spends money on the standard because they don't know any better or whatever. You know, but you know, yes, that's just a thought. That's something I feel like I've seen in other games that might be something they could do here at some point. Not anytime soon, I imagine. It would have to be like a year or two down the line, but
yeah, that's one thing I was thinking about. Like, and once again, we're on the speculation train, sort of. Jonathan, you've opened Pandora's box. We're going off the rails here, but that is an interesting thought. Kind of having these older mainstay limited characters and throwing them onto standard banner at some point instead of making these new characters and adding them to standard. I kind of wonder what, because like say you run a rerun in 4.7.3 when Junpei comes out, no one is gonna pull Queen, right? Queen is at their point in the meta. Queen is so why not put a, like you said, why not put a character like that in standard for someone's account, like just to have more characters in standard, right? I do wonder what the community would think about that. Like if people with A6 Queen, if they would feel slighted that, but it's also so long in the future, you know?
That's probably their concern about it, I would imagine. But
yeah,
I think it gets to a point where like nobody cares at a certain point. I just don't know what point that would be.
So how do you guys feel? This has been something we have been asking for a very long time. They talked about it, seems like forever ago, and we finally got it, just almost out of nowhere. Watts, I know you have pretty strong feelings about Lufel's business plan, so I'll let you lead on this one.
Yeah, when my initial reaction was like, that's it. I was expecting a little bit more, but after sitting down thinking about it, you know what, it's fine. I think, you know, giving us new stuff, giving us like that weapon duke that can be used for any limited weapon, and then giving us like a 5-star weapon to use for like the next awareness on a limited weapon, that's kind of cool. A lot of the chapter rewards I feel were a little underwhelming. Like that one, like I completed a page and then they gave me a tea and 2 aroma diffusers, which is like stuff that I buy, but it's not stuff that I'm like, oh man, I really need more of these, because like if that was like earlier in the game I could see it, but anybody who's completing page like 5 or 6 of Lufel's business plan X, they're pretty far, you know, like they're pretty far into the game. So I don't know how much of use that will be. Like I would have liked to see, if not like a whole set of the cognition shards, I would have liked at least like 1 or 2. Just something. Or not even like 1 or 2, just like some. Like, and like the rewards where it's like 2 skill incenses, 2 of this, 2 of that, on like the levels. They could have made that like maybe a little bit of something more, I don't know. But then it's like at a point of like, how much are you asking for? That's a lot of stuff.
Yeah,
if they put something like that every one of those places.
Yeah. Rick?
Yeah, I agree. Like, the rewards did seem a little bit underwhelming. I wish they would have given us more of the Metal 4 personas, like that selector for the Metal 4 thing. I thought it was a really cool idea. I kind of wish we had more than one of those in here. And then you're like, well, I guess I shouldn't complain because this is just like a brand new thing for free that we're getting, no one else is getting, so just take what you get, right? But Watts just brought something up that I kind of forgot about. Did the initial pictures, when they showed this business plan thing on that stream, did it have
Cognitites card?
It did have the shards, right?
A lot of them.
It did.
Okay.
So we thought initially, and I think we talked about this in either a stream or one of the podcasts, maybe the first one. Our thought was that it was going to be a book of Cognitite shards, and their rewards were going to be like maybe what they are now: Venus Gift, Aroma Diffuser, Rank 8 Overclock, Vicissitude Ink. And then the challenges would all give you 1, and they would add up to 60. That was our guess on what it was, but I'm thinking now that was maybe a placeholder. Yeah, I agree and kind of disagree. Like there are rewards where I'm like, okay, what? Like yeah, the city life stuff. Aroma Diffuser and the Santi, it's like, okay, all right. And then the Rank 8 Overclock, I'll always take those. Vicissitude Ink is nice, and the space selectors they gave us are the only reason I have any space selectors, so I always appreciate those. I appreciate it as a sign that the global team can add something into this game that CN does not have. It's nice to see that is a thing they can do, because I'm not gonna lie, I got a little worried when they mentioned it and they talked about it and then they just stopped talking about it. But I think it's a good sign. I think it's I think my biggest issue with the plan, I don't like the reward from it. Completing all the rewards, just getting the standard character weapon. I would have liked to see something else, maybe. I don't know. Maybe since Minami just got added, maybe a standard like character selector or something like that. Like Watts said, if you're completing Lufel's business plan EX, you're pretty far into the game. You're at least super level 5. So chances are you've pulled quite a few weapons. You have quite a few standard character weapons already. So I think it's kind of questionable to give us another one, because it's just going to end up being overclock material. But overall, I think it's good. I think it's something we don't have that we have now, but I don't think that eliminates it from scrutiny either. So I think overall, pretty good. I think it's a good... Yeah, go ahead.
Another thing I'd like to add is, one thing about this standard weapon case, the least they could have done is put Phoebe's weapon on it. Because
yes.
if you look at the challenges, one of them is past 3 Fate Stella.
Yeah.
There's only one of those on this month's path. So if that's 3 months before we can complete this in its entirety, then it's like, by then Phoebe's going to be on the standard banner. So like, is this going to update to have her weapon in it?
No.
Yeah, I highly doubt it does.
So, but if you could pull her weapon from it, I think that would be a great reward for completing everything.
I think super cool.
I don't think I would have any problems with this pass. Questionable mission clear rewards aside, I think if you got her weapon from this, I would shut up. I'd be like, yeah, this is great, because I am not looking forward to pulling her weapon off 50-50, because that's probably how I'm gonna have to get it. But yeah, it's definitely an interesting experiment, but I would like to see more of this type of stuff. Like, if it is going to be kind of sparse like this, maybe have it every big half version patch or every big version patch where it's like, hey guys, new thing, let's encourage you to try to do this new thing with these rewards. Because something I saw our people in our guild talk about, and this is not trying to drum up controversy at all, but technically, since we are accelerated, we're getting, air quotes here, less Mindscape material. And if you notice, they kind of supplement Mindscape material in this pass. You get some Mindscape materials in here. So that could be an interesting way to me to kind of supplement that a little bit every now and then, but just another idea. And so we kind of touched on this earlier. We talked a little bit about Swan. I guess we could have this be our kind of Swan roundtable. Do you feel, and once again, sorry if this is kind of retreading, do you feel like Mont Swan's wind damage buffs will be good for her longevity versus Kasumi? And this is a topic a lot, because when I was making the video for Kasumi for her build, should you pull her, all that kind of stuff, the thing I ran into a lot was not, hey, she gets crept by this character who does wind damage, or hey, she does X amount of damage, her boss doesn't rerun, that kind of stuff. It was, hey, Kasumi comes out very soon, and she just is more impactful as a character. So do you feel like the buffs to Frostgale Kotone's kit will give her more longevity, or do you feel like it's like Mesa, where it's like, you know, hey, this is a nice gesture, but, you know, not so much? I think Watts led last time, so Rick, I'll let you go first.
Yeah, I don't think so, just because I'm going under the pretense that Violet is also going to get some form of buff, even if it is minor. Like, they buffed Haru even if it wasn't much and she didn't really need it. But yeah, it makes her better now, and it makes you feel like, oh, maybe she can compete. And then I think when Violet comes out, we'll all be like, no, this is still, it's not really comparable. But, you know, whenever the wind stuff gets in, she'll be good. Maybe people who pulled her will feel slightly better about pulling her, but I don't think it fixes any of like the actual issues that she has. And I think Violet's just going to make it more that she's no longer going to be like the brute force option. Maybe she'll be the brute force option for, I know you guys were testing her on like Atavaka, and she was doing pretty well, but again, she'll be overshadowed by Violet when she comes out in, you know, 2.5 weeks. I think Mont just got hit from every direction by bad timing and characters around her that are just really good. And yeah, I don't think it's going to change much in the long run.
Yeah, it's definitely a fair take. Watts?
Yeah, I'm in about the same place. Coming from not really, I don't know expressly how much Kasumi does, but all the discussion I've heard is that she just does so much more damage that it's kind of ridiculous. I think these buffs were fine. It makes her a little bit better on like the neutral bosses for the time being. Makes her feel less bad to use on those. Makes her boss more fun because you get to see real big numbers. But I think Kasumi's gonna take over the neutral boss just as the same as she did on CN. From what I've heard.
Yeah, and I gotta agree. I feel like it's tough. It's tough timing because, you know, and we talked about this last time. The twins coming out. It almost kind of felt like the global team sacrificed Mont a little bit because she's sandwiched between the twins and Kasumi, kind of, and then you also have to wait for her partner to come out, Windvast. So, you know, of course, when Windvast comes out, I'm sure they'll run her boss a little longer, but it's kind of like Mesa, where it's like, you know, if you guys don't run Ball, then I can't use him, you know? I definitely appreciate that they tried to do something with her, but I feel like the chances that they buff Kasumi are not zero as well. You know, obviously, I don't think she'll get a big of a buff as Swan, because she doesn't really need one, but I could also definitely see them doing something like buffing her A1 or doing that thing where they move an awareness down from one to the other. So yeah, it's a tough spot. It's also hard to keep a character you know, that far back to give them relevance moving into a patch series like 4.0, because even Kasumi, you know, when these characters like Makoto Yuki and Barry start coming out, you know, you can't keep up with that. Like, those characters' awarenesses, and, you know, characters like Barry, her A6, it starts getting crazy. So, you know, not everybody can stay good for as long as a character like not Makoto Yuki, but Queen. But I definitely appreciate they buffed her for sure. I think my biggest disappointment, and I guess we haven't really talked about this, is my biggest disappointment is that they did not try to salvage her ice kit at all. Like, I felt like there was something they could have done with maybe her S2 or something like that to kind of salvage it and make her a better support. But they just kind of went for the wind kit, which I definitely understand. Rick or Watts, did you have any more thoughts on Swan?
Unit's a lot more fun than I thought she'd be. That's about it.
Yeah. Oh, go ahead, sorry.
Yeah, just as far as you were saying, like, the ice, I'm still of, like, the mindset that they should have just, like, they should have just dumped if you're gonna, like, basically give no attention to it, then you should have just gotten rid of it and make her, like, the go-to win character, like, I guess she is the go-to win character, but I would have gone more into the win kit. I would have maybe tried to rework her kit a little bit so that maybe she, you know, has different kinds of synergies. I don't know. It just feels like such a waste to have this character that, like, is this dual element unit. That's what you're selling her as, and then one of the types is essentially unplayable.
Agreed. And it's really funny because I can't remember who made this comment, but you sort of see the development methodology of Black Wings, proper Black Wings, not the global team, with the twins releasing and then Mont Swan releasing, because you have these characters that do dual elements and they do it really well. And it's like, they're OP, like we've established that, but they're also set up really well. Like, they're really fun to use. All these roles are really fun to mess with. How the dual elements work is really cool. And then you have Mont Swan, where she's just completely underthought. It's like she's designed for a completely different meta, especially when it comes to her ice stuff. It's like, okay, I guess I can replace Yukimi, kind of, but it's disappointing. It definitely felt like they could have done a little something more with her. Have either of you done her SOS boss yet?
No, I have not done any SOS stuff yet. I will probably start working on that stuff tomorrow. But I'm excited. Yeah, I went in and I just did, like, the stupid things that you have to clear out that nobody wants to do, and then just so I could go in and kind of see what the bosses were. And yeah, I always check the rankings because I'm curious to see, like, okay, what kind of teams are people running. And yeah, it's interesting. I'm curious to run the team without, obviously, because the twins are going to be used on the other side. So yeah, I'm curious to see what this Leon Vino seems to be what everyone's going for can do.
Yeah. No, definitely. I agree. And then Watts is running through it. He's running through it right now.
Yeah, I did the twins first. I haven't touched hers yet.
Yeah.
I might want to move some things around. It seems like everybody's using Phoebe with her, but I used Wind on the other side so I could save Futaba for her. But yeah, I don't know. It's interesting because she clearly is the lower priority side because, like, the twins are just kind of broken. And
yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how long they kind of hijack things. Because, yeah. And I know I don't want to retread the last episode because we speculated on a lot of that with the last episode, but I feel like they're still kind of looming in the background of these really powerful supports.
Yeah, I feel like they won't run their boss explicitly for much longer. But
still, they're going to be... I feel like they're going to be hanging around as strategists on people's teams for the foreseeable future. Like, they bring a lot to it. I feel like Winvast is going to give us a little bit more variety in that angle. Yeah, that's the end of our question list, and we're running up right on a little over an hour here. We could just do a chat section, sort of talking back and forth to chat. I've missed a ton of stuff. So another question from Ricardo. With the buff, do you guys think we should pull? I think what they're saying, pull Mont or wait for Violet. I will. Violet. Yeah, I will answer that. I'll answer that one first because I feel like it's a good question, but so. It just depends on, and I'm not gonna do the pull who you want, but I feel like it's
our favorite.
It's pretty obvious you don't pull Mont, right?
Yeah, I pulled him because I like the character, and that's the sole reason.
Yeah, and me and Rick make the guides, so we're bound by law to to pull every character.
That's our excuse anyway.
Yeah, I made a cherish guide, so I think at this point I'm pulling I'm pulling every character. Um, but yeah, man. Especially if you don't spend money on this game, if you're not buying the passes where you get gems every day, definitely don't pull Mont. It's just not, the longevity is just not there, right? And Kasumi she's gonna be solid for a little while. Now I will warn you guys, 4.0 for y'all who haven't looked forward yet, 4.0 it's gonna be challenging for free to play people, or people who are newer, don't have kind of like a pull plan outlined, because some of these characters are crazy. But luckily we also get a lot of cool content added to the game as well. And maybe you guys have some interesting thoughts on this, if you want to talk about it in chat. Just characters getting buffs through Mindscape, kind of changing the landscape of how we value characters in this game. Just your thoughts on that. Like, for example, characters like Queen and Mesa just having access to Pierce now for free. Does that change how we value these characters? That kind of thing. And that's why I find these kinds of skill unlocks and I guess you call them buffs, really interesting. Yeah, that's something that we didn't touch on. I mean, we kind of glossed over it. With the twins, and just to clarify, I think we've kind of passed the point of the podcast. We're just kind of riffing right now because people are there's more people in here now than when we were actually doing the questions on the podcast, but that's fine. If people are enjoying it, I don't mind going for another little while. But somebody had a question. I believe it was Jordan. Jordan says, do you want more Virtuoso units like the twins? So more units that can kind of adjust their role. I'll let Watts lead with that.
Yeah, no, that's super sick. I like it. I don't want them to keep it to become like an endless power creep every time one of them comes out. But I also think they should be very rare. Make Unarakami one. People like that have a reason to be virtuosos. Like maybe bring in like Margaret and Elizabeth, make them other Velvet attendants. They should be a very special type of character, but I would like to see some of them every once in a while.
And I do want Rick to answer, but I just have a small interjection. I find it interesting that it's a new role. Like, the game makes a distinction that it's a new role.
Mm-hmm.
And with calling it a new role, I feel like there is an implication there that there will be more. So is that wild cards? Well, Makoto Yuki isn't one. Joker isn't one. Would be cool if Unarakami was one, but Slick Rick, almost called you your full government name, Slick Rick. What's your thoughts?
That's the name on the birth certificate.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I like Watts said, I imagine the next Virtuoso character we're gonna get is Elizabeth. It just makes the most sense. Like, the next time they do this, they'll release another Velvet Room attendant. P3 is the next collab. It just kind of makes sense, right? I am curious to see if all the Virtuoso characters have to be able to use every role, or if they could experiment with, like, hey, this one is going to just be 3 roles. I wonder if they could make every role feel more impactful and unique, because that's my only gripe with the twins, is that, like, no one's ever going to use the debuffer, right? Like, it does feel like one or two of them are just kind of throwaways because they wanted to say that they could be all 6. So yeah, I'd be curious to see if they just decide, like, you know what, Elizabeth's just going to be an assassin, a saboteur, and a sweeper or something, and then they put more emphasis on making all 3 of them viable. I'd be interested in something like that, but they probably won't. They'll probably just make, if they ever do it again, it'll probably just be all 6 roles, and I imagine it'd be another Velvet Room attendant.
Well, yeah, I like the idea of being able to only swap between just a couple of roles. Like, what if they made a Virtuoso that was swapped between single target and multi-target DPS? Like, that'd be sick.
Yeah, they could give more focus to each role and make them feel more unique.
That's been one of my complaints with the wildcard characters. And obviously, Joker is a 1.0 limited character.
One of the first characters they designed. Probably.
Yeah, he gets a complete pass, in my opinion, to be maybe a little underwhelming because he's one of the first characters in the game. Makoto Yuki, you know, I feel like the twins got way more use out of the fact that they're not wild cards. I forget their technical name. You know, they have the Grimoire, so they have access to a bunch of different demons, and they totally just went wild with it. Like they did a ton of fan service. They use so many different personas. It's very cool. All those animations. I would like to continue seeing that moving forward. I really hope they do Yuna Rukami, or maybe we get a different wild card in the future like that. That'd be awesome. And something that would be really interesting to me, because we talked about Elizabeth, and Crowley brought up a good point. I don't know if they have a no spoilers rule. I don't know if they've said that, or maybe I've missed it.
They might have said it somewhere a long time ago. Also, if there's a no spoilers rule, please give us Black Mask Akechi. Give him a redemption.
Yeah, no, literally. But I think what would be really cool, and I'm not gonna spoil Persona 3, the plot of Persona 3. I feel like most people have probably finished that game, but for those of you who have, something really interesting is if you go look at Makoto Yuki's A6, it directly references the end of that game. And I think that's something that would be really cool, and they would have to address the story of that game, is if they did all of the characters in P3 and then ended with Elizabeth and kind of tied that into how Persona 4 references her. It's very hard to explain that without spoiling things. I don't want to spoil the ending to Persona 3 because it's a great game, and I know a lot of people haven't finished it, and you should. But I think that could be really cool. I think Crossroads of Fate with Elizabeth could be a lot cooler than the one with the twins, because that one was a bit of an ass pull. I'm not gonna lie. I felt like they could have done a little more with those characters, but they're so fun and like well designed and just really cool animations and stuff like that I can't complain too much about them. So very, very long-winded answer, but yes, I think that's a unanimous yes. I think we all want to see more Virtuosos. It's a really cool idea. I think switching between single target and multi-target is a cool idea, like Watt said. I think if Virtuoso just meant you could do more than one thing, like if that's what that class meant, I think that could be a cool idea. Maybe not switching between every element, because like Rick said, they can't be good in every role. Like they can't. It's not how the game works. So when you have these roles like Sab for the twins that just aren't going to see very much use, it's like, why not just have them have 3 roles, right?
People are throwing out like cool characters in the chat. Mm-hmm. Don't get me going, because I feel like they could definitely, like, maybe it's just like a time thing, like the game hasn't been out long enough for them to need to start pulling this stuff, but there's such a large pool of characters that are in Persona games that have personas that they could just put in this game, and immediately people would buy them just because, like, oh, that character from that game. Like someone mentioned, Metis, or I've mentioned Strega before, like, or at least Chidori, because no one would buy the other two, unfortunately. But
I think Revolver Jesus would get some sales.
Buy Revolver Jesus.
I would.
Oh, what's his face?
Jin would be the worst selling game in the history of this
in the history. Ain't nobody
they'd have to make him like a 4-star on like Chidori in his banner.
Yeah, with his weird little strut with his briefcase. You'd have to buy his 5-star. You have to buy his 5-star sparkling briefcase. Ain't nobody buying him.
His briefcase comes out of EY's briefcase.
Yeah, no, dude.
It's like one of the Rushing Nesting dolls of briefcases. Yeah,
can you imagine Revolver Jesus, his 5-star? It's like a diamond-studded 5-star. That'd be sick, dude. I would buy that.
That would be sick.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
I've said that I think we mentioned it before at some point, but they'll never add more 4-stars for whatever reason. I wish they would add more 4-stars. I don't know why they don't. I think they could, like, that's one of the things I actually said. I forget if I put it in a video or not, but one of the things I thought could have helped Mont a little bit was, like, if there's a character that has kind of like a specific kit that might not necessarily flow great with the rest of the cast, drop a 4-star with them that plays to them. Like, Vino is almost exclusively used with Queen, right? Like, she has her own uses that are, viable, but I don't see why they couldn't do that more. They, it would help. It would help characters, and then it maybe incentivizes people to pull on banners because they want the 4-stars too.
No, yeah, I agree. I think 4-star units have a really good place in this game. I mean, look at Leo. Like, look at the longevity you get from a 1.0 character. Yes, he is a strategist, and strategists are inherently probably the best role in this game, other than just straight up damage dealers. But still, like, the fact that that's a free character and he just does what he does so well. Vino, she's got one thing, she does it, and she's really good at it. But I do agree. It is kind of a shame that you look forward, and I won't spoil. I'm sure most people know who the 4-star is, but I won't spoil. But I will tell you, there's only one more for a very, very long time. Definitely a disproportionate amount to how we've been getting them. But yeah, I agree. I think more 4-stars wouldn't really hurt this game or their wallet, really.
And also, that's like a good
it could be interesting.
That's another good spot for them to like put these original characters. Like, one of my favorite things is like getting the new characters, the original characters from this game, and then they get to still have the crossover events where they bring in like the big money making characters,
And Vino, once again, I won't spoil anything, but Vino lays this groundwork to where you have Vino in the area she's in. I believe it's Shinjuku, and then that's where Phoebe works at the bar, and then Vino has this connection to another character that we get later, and it's just really cool. Like Watt said, I enjoy the lore to this game, and I like to see them build it out more versus having more crossovers. And don't get me wrong, the Persona 3 crossover is the only reason I started playing this game, but I've come to really like the lore of P5X too. Them adding the twins kind of opened this gate into like people speculating on them adding more Velvet Room attendants. But I also think it would be kind of interesting if it was just like, boom, character from like SMT or something like that dropped into the game. Because think about like Raidou Kuzunoha. If they did a crossover with Raidou or Flynn from Shin Megami Tensei, in my opinion, and I love Shin Megami Tensei 4, I don't think Shin Megami Tensei 4 could carry a crossover event like how the Persona 3 crossover events are huge. Like, they add a whole new game mode, they add all this new story content. I think that a crossover with SMT could last a patch, and maybe not add a crazy amount of actual gameplay content. I think a global release character, sorry, wrong word, a universally released character like that could work really well too. Maybe not just Velvet Room attendants, but
Will Metaphor.
Lil Uzi Vert, Will Metaphor,
Metaphor.
Will Metaphor or Luis Guybern. I will take Luis Guybern too, and he better be
my wallet if Luis Guybern enters
and
this
he better.
game.
You would. I would be. I think I said this before to Rick. I would be living on the street. I'd be living on the street. I'd still be playing P5X on my phone though. And I'd have that A6R6 Luis, because that would be a really cool character. So they have said before. Don't ask me to cite my reference, but I have seen it translated that they've said they're only going to do characters that they can kind of rip from existing Atlas games.
Oh. Okay.
So that kind of keeps us. Yeah, that kind of keeps us from getting P1 and P2. As you guys had us start talking about Persona and Atlas, and I tell you, me and Watts and Rick have done this before, where we sit here and talk about Atlas games for like hours off stream. We're like, man,
I was just about to continue off the beaten path, but I'll refrain.
No, I think we have more viewers now than when we were talking about the game. So
I think people enjoy it too. So I mean, we just like to, and we just ramble anyway. We knew this was inevitable, right?
Well, that's one of the things. That's one of the things I love about this game, and I think either you or Watts said it. All the backlash this game got when it came out, and now it's like things have chilled out. Comments on my channel, on your channel, usually super positive. People are just excited to play this game, and it's like the gacha fans left the game, and it's just Persona fans. Mm-hmm. So you have this mutual ground with everyone talking about JRPGs and Atlas stuff, and it's a cool community. But no, Rick, go off the beaten path. I'm curious.
No, it was more. No, it was kind of more on the vein of it, just because we have all this P30th stuff going on right now, and P25th was a disaster. I'm not even gonna my hopes were so high for that, and it was a mess. But they've as much as said you're getting a reveal of something at this. How much longer could you wait at this point? P6 has to come at some point soon.
I think it is. I think best case, my opinion, I think best case it's Persona 4 remake gameplay, and I think it is a maybe P6 reveal. Maybe we get the chairs.
Flash the logo and maybe a look at the characters, in a cutscene or whatever.
So this is Rick. This is before your time with Persona, and definitely before Watts' time with Persona. But P5, all we got back in the day was just chairs. It was a picture of chairs with a chain attached to it, and that was all we got for a year.
And then that led into the Imagining project, where somebody just headcanoned the whole game, made music for it and everything.
And then there were weird things with that game that weren't finalized. You were supposed to live with Sai, and you were an informant, or you're in her custody or something. That game has a lot of really interesting reworks. Persona 5 tunes to the story and stuff that I find really interesting.
I'm just so curious for 6, because I feel like my story with Persona is I played P5R when we were all locked down, and I became obsessed with the series. And then I played Golden when they put it on Steam. And then obviously I played Portable when they put that on Steam, and then Reload, and it's just been nonstop. But
talking about Portable, that port was rough.
Yeah, not great. But besides the point, I almost don't know what it feels like to play a Persona game that I don't know what's happening, because I've replayed 5 so many times. I've replayed 3. I've replayed these games so much that I'm really curious to see how I'm going to feel about something entirely new.
Yeah. I mean, did you play worrying? You play Metaphor?
Yes, I did.
I think Metaphor has proven to me that Atlas still has creative passion. They can still come up with new things. I think, this may be a controversial opinion, I think Luis Glyburn is the best villain they've ever written.
Yep.
And before that, it was...
Yo, spoilers. Spoilers.
Oh, my bad. I don't know who wasn't. Sorry. Before that, it was Funny Trollface, man. My fault. But Luis Glyburn is, I think, the best villain they've ever written. And I think that because I think naturally they're worried because P5 has extended itself into a brand. P4 did the same way, and I think that's something they just have to get used to, because Persona 4 had Persona 4 Arena. It became a fighting game at EVO. It became a dancing game that did really well. So then it's man, should we move on from this because it's making a lot of money? And then P5 is even bigger. It is a style. It's it's an aesthetic almost, even more than P4 was. And it's the brand image now. You look at in P5X, you look at the design of the UI and things like that, and it's a lot, and they kind of have to reinvent all that. And
that's
I can understand the hesitation.
I think you kind of put it better than I did, but to me, maybe it's because I started with P5, but to me, and I've played this game so much, Persona is this P5 style.
Yeah.
And it's gonna feel really weird going into something that isn't pre-existing. But I guess Reload kind of changed the vibe a little bit, UI wise, at least to copy P5 a little bit. But
even that game has the traces of P5. It has the
definitely they P5ized P3.
Yeah, which I have my issues with that, but it is the definitive Persona 3 experience. If P4 if P4 remake plays like that, I'll have no problem with that. It's great. I would like to see the next evolution of that combat. And I really, when I was playing through Metaphor the first time, I think I was talking about it with Watts. Watts, were we playing that game? Yeah, we were playing that game around the same time. Yeah. I was talking with Watts about it. I was I could see this being the next Persona. I understand why Metaphor is not P6. I understand that there's no focus on school, which is something we kind of have to break away from. I'm not gonna lie. There's not focused on high school. These are young adults as opposed to teenagers. Sometimes just straight up adults. Heisme is supposed to be in his 40s. Adult themes, and the Persona games do have adult themes, but it feels like it is a party of adults. There is some silly stuff sometimes, but it is for the most part a very serious game. So I would like to see them kind of move that forward. Like I think it would be cool to see a Persona game that is a mix of Metaphor and Persona, like a game where they're in college or something like that.
I don't think they'll ever. I just don't think. I think like it's a very like Japan thing where like they're trying to tap into like this culture of like
high school
of like lost souls who are who are like long for those days, and it'll just never.
Yeah.
I agree. College would be fun because you could really bridge the gap between like becoming an adult and like we've all felt that, I'm sure, like when you go from like, oh, now I have a job. Like I used to come home and play games and then go to school and hang out with my friends, and now I do all this stuff I thought was like boring, and it's college scales even better towards the time constraints of the Persona games, because it's like, shit, I have a job and I have to pass these classes, and you could write the next game maybe.
No, not even close.
Racing against time.
Racing against time, yeah. I also think the original idea for 5 could be a cool game, because you're supposed to be traveling around Japan in that game, and they kind of canned that and put it in Strikers for the kind of a mixed effect. I would say it's not the thing I think of when I think of that game, but I think it could maybe work in a Persona game. I don't know. It's a tough one to work in there, but sorry, I feel like I cut you off, Watts.
The thing I was going to talk about is like I realized that they were never going to lose the the high school branding when they were doing the Persona 5, the Phantom X 2.0 trailer, and they build it as the ultimate high school experience JRPG.
For me, I think the reason I like that game so much, it's the thing everyone says about Persona 4, the characters. Like, I feel like they do these scenes, the scenes where they're just kind of doing bullshit. The scene where they go to Okina City and Yosuke gets his scooter blown up. Like, dumb shit like that. I feel like that game does it so well. Versus Persona 3, when they're on the beach looking for girls, it's a little more awkward. Like, I feel like it's not as tactful. And then P5, I feel like hits about 50% of the time when they're doing dumb shit. I feel like the Persona 4 crew, they can do dumb stuff and it just comes kind of naturally to them.
Well, okay, so something I just thought about as you said that, it makes sense though, that like the Persona 4 crew like is more like natural together and feels like more like that because they're like people in a town who met that actually became friends. Meanwhile, the Persona 3 group,
they're like forced to be together.
They're forced to be together, so things just like aren't going to be as natural as like these people who generically like became friends with one another.
Yeah. And then P5, and I don't think we've talked about this on stream. I think we talked about this with Rick, or maybe it was just me and you. I feel, we did. We talked about this off stream. P5 has probably one of the, Persona 5 glazing in a Persona 5 the Phantom X stream. Wow. Believe me, I'm probably the most critical in this chat of P5, but I still think the first arc of P5 with Kamoshida, how Joker, Ryuji, and On all meet and they're all joined by this total shithead, horrible human being, is so good. And obviously the game does not stay that interesting, forever, but the way those three characters are joined, and they all relate to the villain in that arc is so good. Like, to me, that's like peak character building there, because I do not care for On a whole lot as a character, but like during that arc, I was super invested. I was like, this is crazy. I've never seen them do anything like this with this game, or with these games. Like, how is this going to resolve? And then I'm supposed to care about an art thief, which I don't. But that arc was really good.
Yeah, I think like the opening arc of P5 can go like band for band with any arc in any Persona game.
I would agree with that. It's very strong. The whole way through, it's very strong. And another thing that I like is it immediately justifies it being a high school setting, because it's this it's this authority figure
Mm-hmm.
that's over you, and committing these horrible crimes, and you're trying to figure out how do we stand up for ourselves, and it introduces the plot of the game well, changing people's hearts. It's very well thought out. But
it feels like you end up chasing Kamoshida, like the feeling you had during the Kamoshida story arc. I felt like I was chasing it all the way through the end of the game, and it just never got there until you get to the royal stuff, and then that's where it kind of picks up for me again.
Yeah.
Which didn't exist initially.
Yeah, it was.
Not to say it was bad, it just never, you're like,
no.
I didn't like that as much. Maybe the next one, and then it's like, well, I didn't like that one as much either. Maybe the next one, and then before you know it, you're at the end of the game.
Yeah, to me, it picks up, and once again, for Watson, Rick, I'm repeating myself, but I do really like this topic. It doesn't really pick up again until Futaba's palace, and Futaba is kind of doing like a Persona 4, like she's confronting, her mom and what happened to her, and she's really confronting herself. And I'm a Persona 4 stan, so I love that shit. So I love her dungeon, and then Haru, Spaceport. A lot of people don't like Spaceport. I don't mind it. And then obviously the royal content, all just Kino. To me, they completely fixed the end of that game, because before it was I said his name last week. What's his name, you guys?
Yeah, we never remember. Shido,
because he's such a weak villain. Yeah, when the game ended with him, when I played it in 2016, 2017, I was like, man, that guy sucked. That was totally weak. But oh my gosh, I won't even say his name. The new final guy, so good. Yeah.
You said his name already.
I did, but
if Melissa's still in here, she hasn't played it yet.
What? Melissa, you need to play
She
Royal.
bought them. She bought them, I think. She hasn't played them though.
Well, hopefully
she's began playing them, I think.
Okay.
But,
well, hopefully she.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead, sorry.
So Kamoshida and the Royal Palace, and then below that for me is like Futaba and Sai, just because like.
Oh, I do like Sai's.
My goat.
Yeah, I do like Sai's.
Futaba's is like better like narratively, but
definitely.
Sai's is fun. I like Sai's.
And it looks
then everything
great.
Else is kind of.
I love the way her palace looks. It's probably one of my favorites.
So do I.
You haven't played anything but P5. Oh my gosh, you're like the guy, the picture of the guy digging for diamonds, but you're going in the wrong direction. Turn around. You need to go play Metaphor and Persona 4. Oh my goodness, I'm jealous. I want to swap brains with Melissa so I can play all these games again. It's peak. No, definitely play them. They are.
I'm jealous of you, Melissa. I wish I could play these games again, not knowing, and just go through all the Persona games again. Or Destro's not gonna like this, but wait for Revival.
No, that's fine. I think that's a fair take. If you play, my thing is, if you play P5R first, yeah, go ahead and wait for.
That's my issue. It was so hard going back with the level of. It's not even their fault. It's just like the time they were made. The
just
technical improvements just weren't there.
Yeah, it's a 2008 RPG. It's just not.
I'm gonna have to agree with Jonathan. I think the look of Golden fits the aesthetic and time that the PS2 aesthetic fits the town of Inaba so well that I think that I'm hesitant for the remake because it's gonna lose the old charm that Golden has.
Yeah, and they really I really hope they lean into the retro angle of P4, because now it is retro. Like at the time when it came out, people still were using flip phones. People still were, had CRT TVs. They go to Junes and flat screens are like, oh wow, look at these flat screen TVs, and they're not even proper flat screen TVs. They still have the big back on them, the older high definition TVs.
So my biggest issue, just real quick, just to clarify, I guess people are. I don't want anyone to be mad at me about this, but the vibe is definitely I had no issue with anything in P4G, as far as the the feel of the game, the cutscenes, whatever. Just the dungeon crawling was after playing Palaces and P5R, thinking that's what Persona was. Then going back to play the dungeon crawling, I wanted to rip my eyeballs out.
Yeah,
everything else is terrific though.
Procedurally generated floors are awful. I hate it.
Yes.
Yeah, and it's I don't know. I've played I'm not gonna be a gatekeeper, but I just feel like I've played so many older JRPGs, and I also played Persona 3. Persona 3 was my first Atlas game, so I've come from the slums, and I've dealt with a lot of frustrating, like, slow mechanics. And also I've played Persona 4 so many times. There are parts of Persona 4 Golden that are a little rough that I would like to see them smooth out. We were talking about the game dungeon. The game dungeon where this is like ball knower talk, but in the game dungeon where you have to get the Orb of Truth and then go back a floor. You have to go back a floor to get the Orb of Truth and then come back to the top floor to open the door. Like, you don't need that. You don't need that. And then also, I don't know about how I feel about every dungeon functioning like a palace, like Persona 5, but maybe the dungeons that are literally castles, the first dungeon in P4 could definitely be a palace. So I'm curious to see what they do. Or personally, I feel like they might just lean into the Tartarus design that they did for Reload.
Yeah,
but
my guess is they're going to take Tartarus and reskin it because that's the fastest way to do it.
Yeah.
But I would for them to make them take 20% of a P5R palace and then mix it with what you did for Reload with Tartarus, and that should be.
That is one thing that I feel like no one's brought up. That is totally possible, and I could definitely see them doing this. When they finish Persona 4 Remake, just making Persona Q3 or some kind of collaboration project with all three games, because now they would have all of the characters 3D models, all of them having a new cast, barring P5 because it's newer. I could definitely see them doing something like that. Persona Q2 was it was a really big disappointment for me. I'm not gonna lie. I feel like they kind of missed the point, not being able to choose your party, and then I don't feel like the P5 cast has trouble carrying the plot. It's just that was the big draw for the original for me, is you get to pick the team, pick the side you start out on, and then you can play through it again, get scenes with the other team, stuff like that. So yeah, that was pretty. And then it didn't have a dub either, and it was on the 3DS in 2018, which was,
by the way,
crazy.
the idea that they cooked up an album or a soundtrack like that for a game that's playing through the 3DS speakers is very funny to me for some reason.
What do you mean? Just the soundtrack to Persona Q, or?
Yeah.
And they do it all the time. They do. Shin Megami Tensei 4. Have you ever looked at that soundtrack? It is one of the best soundtracks Atlas has ever done. It is long as hell, and that game is locked to the 3DS. They were cooking on the 3DS, and some of those games they need to free from the shackles. They need to free from the shackles of that cursed device.
Yeah, I'm waiting for ports of Q and Q2 because I'm I really want to play them, and I've thought about digging out my DS and then just going on eBay and buying copies of it because I really want to play them. But
depending on how serious you are about it, I can mail you Persona Q as long as you promise to ship it back, because I know that game is astronomically expensive.
Yeah, it's very expensive. I will let you know on that. We will.
Okay. Because Persona Q is
again, yeah.
I guess P5X is my favorite Persona spinoff. We'll call it, because I already have 600 hours in this game, kind of exposing myself a little bit. But number 2, definitely Persona Q. I love that game. The music's really good. The gameplay is not for everyone, but the interaction with the characters is exactly what you want. It's exactly what you want. The 3 and the 4 teams, they mesh really well. And PQ2 it's good. It wasn't exactly what a lot of people wanted, but it's not a bad game. It has a lot of weird stuff too. And yeah, the damn it. You guys are gonna keep me going all night. The Arena Ultimax is a really good game too.
This is like a peek into our
psyche, damaged psyche.
Well, this is this is kind of what we just do in the normal Discord chat, for multiple hours. This is pretty much it.
Glaze Atlas.
That was the best about the last one. So inside baseball for people is we had a meeting, quote unquote, to just go over some stuff about this podcast, scheduling and whatnot. And it turned into like, I think we talked about the podcast for like 10 minutes. And then we went on for like an hour and a half about random stuff.
Yeah.
It was great.
It's a love of the game, you know?
Absolutely.
And games, I guess. I do enjoy live streaming. I think one thing I want to ask the stream, what do you guys think about different games, like maybe tangential RPGs being played in some of these streams? Obviously not for the calling card podcast. The calling card patch report podcast, but for kind of like maybe we have Rick on, maybe we just talk like how we're talking now. Just getting a feel for what people think of that. We've thought about branching off to other stuff, just playing, you know, classic JRPGs or maybe playing through Metaphor again or something like that. And yeah, Shadow King, absolutely. He says depends on the game. If it's something that fits the vibe, absolutely. And that's kind of what we're trying to feel out is what people are looking for, and definitely it would be JRPG tangential.
I was hoping we'd go for like a Club Penguin stream.
And Jonathan Alexander, we are you do not have to worry about that, because I do not like, and you know, make fun of me, I do not like gacha games. I've tried other gachas. I tried Blue Protocol, the beta for it. I did not like it. I've tried the Final Fantasy, and I love Final Fantasy. I tried the Final Fantasy VII gacha, didn't like it. So I will stop making videos on this channel before we touch another gacha game, unless it's a Persona 6 gacha game. That's the only way we would move over. But Jonathan said you have a sub for life, my friend. Hey, we appreciate it, man. I recognize people's comments and people's pictures, and I always like getting a notification from that little koala, because I know it's gonna be a peak comment.
It's funny, yeah, we talked about this before, but like I don't remember anyone's names really, because I'm terrible at remembering names. I guess after you've commented for a while I do, but I always remember people's profile pictures. Yep. And then the name like comes to me slowly as I see profile pictures. So like, yeah, it's fun seeing like all these profile pictures and names that I like recognize from, you know, our videos, both our videos. I know. Yeah, this community, like you said, is
awesome.
It's been really supportive. Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, it's awesome, and it's fun. It's fun talking about Atlas stuff. So yeah, we will definitely look more into. And if you haven't joined our Discord, if you don't use Discord, that's fine. But also, if you haven't joined our Discord, it's a good way to get a hold of us. Other than our comments, I do check our comments every day, but definitely feel free. I'll actually go ahead and drop it in chat for anyone who doesn't have a link to it. Feel free to, if you don't mess with Discord, that's understandable as well. But we're very easy to reach in there. If you ever have any suggestions for us or corrections to Sages, who's not in the chat right now, but he knows like everything about this game. We've gone to him before for like, hey, is this right? Do we have this right? You know, that kind of thing. Rick, any closing thoughts?
No, I appreciate everybody who came out to watch and like hung out and chat with us. This is fun. I'm sure I'll be on with these guys again at some point, and at some point I will stream too. And Jonathan can avoid my stream, because at some point I probably will stream like Arknight's Enfield and other gacha games. At some point, but we'll see. It might not be on this channel. I have like I don't know. But anyway, thank you guys for watching. I appreciate everybody who came out. So appreciate your support on my stuff, as well as, you know, I'm sure on behalf of the farmers market guys. Appreciate your support for them as well.
Yeah, I definitely appreciate everybody coming out. We peaked at like 35, 36 viewers, which is you know, on the YouTube sphere, not a whole lot, but like for other P5X streams I've seen, it's a lot. It's more than we've ever gotten.
Before we go out of here, by the way, I gotta read some of Mont's skill names for Jonathan.
Okay.
French accent. So
kind of the same as Rick. I appreciate everyone coming out and even like hanging out, like Shadow King, everybody who's been here for the last like hour has just been you know, chatting and watching, and I appreciate it. I'm glad you guys enjoy talking and yapping as much as we do. And in the future, we're gonna try to keep it to where we're doing the episode and then talking like this at the end. Because I want to have the episodes still kind of be to where they're not having to read stuff on screen. But I also, of course, like talking to you guys in this way. So I definitely want to keep. I think we are gonna. I don't know about the other guys. I'm not gonna speak for them, but I definitely would like to continue the live format moving forward, even if it does have some hiccups sometimes. But
no, I think the live worked well. We'll have to see how it looks after editing it down. Yeah,
let's not talk about that right now. Rick, you want to hit to close things off? You want to hit some French for us?
Well, I figured maybe we could do a group session of. Do you guys have
You
found
want
that open?
me to do it? Oh, okay.
Well, no, we'll all kind of
Yeah,
see
we'll-
whose
we'll-
pronunciations are better.
I played
Yeah,
Expedition
too.
33, so I think I know how to éclat de vent.
Okay, I'm not gonna be able to beat that. I'm gonna say Inclat de Vin.
You have to. I think you have to put more. You have to put more like French on it. I think.
Uh-huh.
Écrit devant.
Okay, yeah. No, you're cooked, Watts. You're cooked.
Yeah, no, I didn't.
Yeah.
Ooh,
Go ahead,
I
Watts.
know the second one. I know the second
Okay.
one.
Yeah, go ahead.
Her skill 2. Zephyr.
Yeah.
Zephyr.
No, Rick's too good at it. I watched Rick's video on her build guide, and I was like, damn it, he's way better. I listened to Google Translate and everything, and I still couldn't hit it. It's like, nah, I'm cooked. What's her third one?
Et you vont?
Yeah, I'm good.
I just grew like a curly mustache. You guys can't see it, but I
Yeah,
grew a curly
have you
mustache
played-
and I
have
put
you-
on a
Have
beret.
you like a baguette? Like you're holding a baguette right now with the
I am holding.
the
My
red
mic is actually a baguette.
Insane. You're wearing like the
doubles.
striped. You're wearing like
I'm
the
wearing a
striped
striped
shirt.
shirt. Yep, I look like a mime. I'm wearing. I have gloves on. I'm kind of miming.
Yeah, I think Jonathan's correct. I think you practiced off stream and you prepared for this, so we're gonna have to.
I did a Duolingo account just to learn French, just to
Yeah,
pronounce month skills.
When they localize Mitsuru's names and she has more French, we're gonna get a redo on this. So yeah, give us another try in 4.704 whatever patch that's gonna be. But all right, we're over time. So thank you guys for coming out. Honestly, we planned for an hour and a half and it went over 2 hours, and we had a lot of fun. So like I said, definitely want to do more of these. And TBD on playing other games. It's something we want to do, but getting it in the right vibe to where it's something that people are interested in.
We
So,
were gonna start
yeah.
out with me playing Final Fantasy VII for the first time, but then I got
Yeah.
impatient and started it off stream.
Yeah,
Now I
the
gotta-
original. Yeah. Rick, Shadow King wants a oui oui.
I'm trying to figure out. Yeah, hold on. I'll close this out. Oui oui and au revoir.
Yeah, see, this guy played Expedition 33. All right, guys, thank you for watching, and be sure to tune in for the next episode.
See y'all.
So yeah.